Recording in progress. Recording in progress.
Good morning everyone. Maayong buntag sa tanan. How's my audio? Audio check. Okay ra? Please type in thumbs up if my audio is okay. Thank you. So before we will start with our discussion this morning, I will give you a 37-item pretest, and please access the pretest in the link given in the chat group. There are 37 items and the passing score is 30 out of 37. So we'll give you 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes to answer the test items in the pretest. Please type in thumbs up if my audio is okay. Thank you. So before we will start with our discussion this morning, I will give you a 37-item pretest, and please access the pretest in the link given in the chat group. There are 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes to answer the test items in the pretest. Please type in thumbs up if my audio is okay. Thank you. So before we will start with our discussion this morning, I will give you a 37-item pretest, and please access the pretest in the link given in the chat group. There are 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes as well as for professional growth and more learnings to acquire, no? And professional development also. No, professional development, professional growth, and for promotion, no? More learnings, professional growth, promotion, and to enhance your skills, no? To acquire additional knowledge in the graduate school of Dipolog Medical Center. Now, thank you very much for your responses to my questions. No, majority of you are interested to grow professionally in your profession as teachers, and probably in the future you will become school heads. I hope that after the lecture today, you will be able to appreciate the task of school heads, no? Kaya na mga panahon nga dili nato masabtan nga nung inani ang mga decisions ato ang school heads, no? Ay lahi man po ng iyong panlantaw compared to our school heads. So hopefully you will be able to gain insights out of my presentation today. So medyo taas-taas ang ako ang presentation. So if you have questions, you can type in our chat box. We have also teacher in charge in our group today. And I will start with the presentation of concepts on school-based management. No? What are the words that you can associate with decentralization, or what is decentralization? You know, you can type in your answers in our chat box. Okay, any response from the participants? What is decentralization? Do you practice decentralization in your school? Anyone? Anyone? What is decentralization? Do we have responses from our participants? You just type in your answers. Now, what are the words that you can associate with the word decentralization? Or what is the meaning, no, of decentralization? Anyone?
Distribution, sir. Distribution.
Distribution of functions. Okay,
Yes.
delegation.
Yes.
You know, delegation of functions, delegation of work, decision making. What else? Delegation of authority, distribution and delegation of tasks. No? Decentralization, delegation of power from central to local authorities. Thank you very much for your responses. Distribution of work. Next word, empowerment. What do you mean by empowerment? Do you give a voice or decision-making power to your stakeholders? What are the words that you can associate with empowerment? What is empowerment? From the word power. We have shared governance from Sir Marvin. How about empowerment? The ability to manage, according to Sir Artemio, authorization, to give official authority. Empowerment is also associated with authority, giving power and sharing governance by capacitating others, not delegation. So authority is given to someone to do something. Very good. Thank you very much for the responses. How about stakeholders? Now, what do you mean by stakeholders? Or what are the words that you can associate with the word stakeholders? Partners. Very good. Partners in making our school productive. Partnership. Partners, stakeholders. Actually, there are two types of stakeholders in our schools. We have internal stakeholders, school heads, our students, our learners, and non-teaching personnel. Those who are inside the school, those partners inside the school are considered as internal stakeholders, while those who are outside of the school, like the Parents Teachers Association, the local government units, the barangay government, the provincial government, the non-governmental organization, alumni association, and other partners are also considered as external stakeholders. How about shared governance. O what do you mean by the word shared governance? O sa dining shared governance, no, sa to ang pagsabot. Shared governance. There is collaboration of the community, there is cooperation. What else? Shared governance. Shared responsibility is equivalent also to shared governance, co-sharing, shared decision-making. In other words, the governance of the school is shared, no? Is shared with other stakeholders. So it is not only the obligation and the responsibility of the school head to manage the school, but governance of the school must be shared to everyone in the community, either internal or external stakeholders. Shared work, teamwork. How about accountability? What are the words that you can associate with the words accountability? Professional experience with practice and decision. Responsibility. Responsibility is associated, liability, responsibility are common words in our chat group. Obligation. The school heads are accountable of their actions, so in the performance or discharge of their duties. No, accountable of the outcome. So kung pananglitan, ang mga bata, dili kabasa, the school heads, the teachers, the parents, and the members of the community are accountable of the outcome because there is shared governance in our schools. So, accountability. So the school heads have the authority to discharge their functions as well as they're also responsible and accountable of the outcomes. So what is your understanding about school-based management? What is SBM? So please input your answers in our chat box. What is your understanding of school-based management? Or what is SBM? So bago ba ni siya or daan ba ni siya nga concept? Leadership and governance. Very good. Ma'am Mary, thank you for your response. Decentralization. School-based management is associated to decentralization. According to Ma'am Neneng, thank you Ma'am, localization of power. No? Localization have the power to do so according to Sir Lemuel. SBM. Are you familiar with the concepts of school-based management? So if you are familiar, please type in your answers, no, of your understanding of school-based management. Thank you, Sir Dari Reyes. No, he is familiar with school-based management. Okay, we will try to define school-based management. No, but school-based management is the decentralization of decision-making authority from top, no, across all governance levels. So there is decentralization of authority from the central office of the Department of Education down to the regional office, to the division office, to the district, and to the schools, no, to enable these schools to better respond to their specific education needs. So before, the operation of the Department of Education was highly centralized. No, ang central office mo ay magbuot sa tanan. But with the decentralization, with the implementation of school-based management, our school heads are empowered to implement policies, to do actions in accordance with the rules of the Department of Education. No, they are given the authority, no, to manage our schools. And decentralization means there is delegation of power from top to bottom. No, that's the meaning according to Merriam-Webster. And internal stakeholders in the school, so that these stakeholders could participate in the continuous improvement of the schools. And our ultimate goal is to have a better or the best higher performing or higher pupil or student learning outcomes. That's our ultimate goal. So there is a need to empower everyone in the school community so that we will be able to improve continuously to achieve higher student learning outcomes. And the legal basis in the implementation of school-based management is Republic Act 9155 or the Governance of Basic Education Act of 2001, which was enacted in 2001. But prior to 2001, special projects were already implemented by the Department of Education like the CEDEP and the TEP in some selected provinces nationwide in 1998 and 1999. And because of the favorable gains of the different projects implemented by the Department of Education, school-based management was institutionalized in 2001 with the enactment of RA 955. And according to Section 255, of RA 9155, is the principle for governance of basic education, which will be translated into programs, projects, and services developed, adapted, and offered to fit local needs. So decision making in our schools shall be based on the needs of the community. So, mao na itong legal nga basihanan nga nung nag-implementa sa school-based management. And the implementation of school-based management was strengthened with the implementation also of the Education for All and Schools First initiative under Secretary Boots Abad in 2005. And these are the four objectives of school-based management. So tanawan ninyo kung kining ang upat naaba ni sa inyong eskwelahan. So if these indicators are present in your schools, nagpasabot that your school is implementing school-based management. Number one, empower the school heads to lead their teachers and students through reforms. Then SBM is operational in your school. Second, there is also strengthened partnership with your school and with the internal and external stakeholders, especially with the local government. So if your barangay government, if your city government, if your provincial government is engaged in the operation of the school, there is strong collaboration and partnership, then there is SBM in your school. And third, there is an integration of school management and instructional reforms to make the school effective. And if your school was able to bring resources, including funds down to the control of schools to spur change. So if the stakeholders, the external stakeholders, were able to provide you with the resources, either in kind or financial resources, nagpasabot po ng school-based management are or is operational in your school. So these are the four objectives. And one of the important aspect in school management is fiscal empowerment. The empowerment of the school heads to manage their own resources. Now, with the implementation of school-based management, our schools were given a yearly or annual MOA allocation. Sa unang panahon, prior to the implementation of school-based management, prior to 2001, magkapuliki ang ato ang mga schools o pangita o resources. So sa katuig, the school will hold king and queen, king and queen of hearts, king and queen of Christmas, mga raffle draw just to generate resources for the school. But with the implementation of school-based management, the central office downloaded a regular allocation for maintenance and other operating expenses for the school. So that's the reason why this morning I will discuss the topic fiscal management, so that you will be oriented on how to manage our schools. Okay, moabot ang panahon nga mahimo mong school heads and probably you will become teacher in charge or department provide in your school. Imo po ni pinaka-controversial sa ato ang eskwelahan. No, agi sa kwarta, no, dudahan na to ang school head. Kung giunsa niya paggasto ang kwarta. No, especially if the school head is not transparent in the financial transactions, madudahon kay ta. So this morning, I will provide you with insights, no, on how to manage your fiscal resources. No, along the way, you also try to reflect. No, you also try to reflect if your school head is following the principles, the proper procedures on fiscal management. Para at least inikuli niyo yung sa eskwelahan na may idea nga, oy sakto day si sir, oy si ma'am o si sir, doon ay kakulangon aning aspect. So dili kay mag-criticize lang ta sa tuang school head, no, nga walay nahimo o giwalda sa nato ang imo allocation. So kinahanglan, if you will criticize your school head, you will also offer doable solution to the problem. No, dili lang ta magsigig panaway, no, sa ato ang mga school heads. Kung nais kalawayon, pwede ka manaway, but again, you do criticism through constructive way, and you also offer solution. So we will have another activity. All you have to do is to determine if these scenarios are good or bad. No, I will provide you with different situations or scenarios in your school. So if the scenario is good, so you input or type in thumbs up, and if the practice is bad, you also type in or input thumbs down, no, in the chat box. No, we will try to gauge your learning, no, in your school. No, tanaw na to kung sa inyo kang prior learning, na ba mo'y idea aning mao mga paghitabo. First scenario, your school head use the savings from the personal services for the improvement of school canteen. No, one of the requirements of the Department of Education is to set up school canteens, either teacher-managed canteen or co-managed canteen. Nya kay wala man salaries or allocation for the salaries of teachers for the improvement of school canteen. Is it a bad practice or a good practice? Miss Mary Chris, thank you. Thumbs down. It's a poor or bad practice. Ngano pa ha? No, what's the reason? Nganong poor practice? So if your school head utilizes savings from PS for the improvement of school canteen, o sa may rason nga poor practice ni siya? Okay, very good, no? Very good. So majority answered thumbs down, meaning this scenario is a bad practice. Nganong bad practice ni? Because allocation for personal services shall not be used for other purposes. Actually, there are three general allocations for your school. First is allocation or funds for personal services, for the salaries of teachers, for the benefits of teachers. Second is allocation for capital outlay. Now, kining capital outlay para ni pangpalit og computers, pangpalit og equipment, pagpalit og items more than 15,000 pesos. No? And the third fund allocation in your school is maintenance and other operating expenses allocation, MOE. So there are three types of funds that will be probably downloaded to your school. First is allocation for personal services. Second, allocation for capital outlay. And third is allocation for MOE. So you cannot use allocation for personal services, for the payment of wages and salaries, for the improvement of your school canteen. That's a poor practice. Next scenario. The school head accepted cash donation from the Alumni Association in the amount of 200,000 for the construction of the school's outdoor stage. The following day, the school had both materials for the stage construction. Is it a good practice or a poor practice? According to Ma'am Mary Chris, there is possibility of juggling of funds. no, there will be technical malversation. No, gijagel ni mo ang funds, ibansili ni mo ang funds from personal services to maintenance and other repair of school buildings or repair of other facilities. It's a bad practice according to Ma'am Queenie, no? States. The following day, ipamalit din niya og materials. Very good. Poor practice. So what makes this scenario a poor practice? Nganong dili man ni siya pwede? What's the correct procedure in handling the fund? So sa mga sakto, if this is a poor practice, what's the good practice? If your school head receives donation from external sources, what will be the proper steps? No? So you can type in your answers in the chat box. No? So it's not a good practice for school head. What's the correct practice? Sir Art Gary. What's the correct practice for this scenario? If this is bad practice, what's the good practice? Conduct meeting, no, prior to the utilization of funds. Thank you, Sir Lemuel. Bidding first. Bidding muna. What else? Meeting. Bidding muna. Should be documented or reported and conduct procedure for purchasing of materials. Very good. No? Upon receipt of the donation, so inigdawat sa school head, you follow the procurement procedures. Kaya dili man ni personal nga kwarta sa school head. So inigdawat sa donation, kinahanglan i-inform ang mga teachers about the donation. Inform po ng mga teachers unsay buhaton sa donation and prepare the needed documents for procurement. So bisan og donation ni siya, kinahanglan moagi ta og proper procedure in the procurement. So there's a need to prepare program of works, purchase request, canvas paper, and other documents also support the procurement. Follow the guidelines. Thank you very much, Sir Lemuel. Next scenario, the school head paid the supplier for the office supplies you ordered from a store. The following day, said supplies were delivered to the school. Is this a good supplies that she ordered? Did the following day, ang mao nga supplies were delivered to the school? According to Ma'am Neneng, it's a bad practice. It's a poor practice. How about other participants? Is this a bad practice or a good practice? It's a bad or poor practice. What's the correct practice? Kasi dapat ang buhaton, no? Kasi dapat buhaton ni principal. Consult the Bids and Awards Committee according to Ma'am Zori. Bidding. Very good, no? Ano nga scenario? Gibayran niya, dayon deliver, no? Without following the procurement process. No, sa principal ba yung bayad? Principal ba may magbayad? It is not the responsibility of the principal to pay the supplier. No, we have designated disbursing officers in our schools who will pay the items. No, follow the guidelines RA 9184. So proper liquidation. So kung ato ning tanawon nga scenario, wala ni moagi o proper procedure. Okay, sa proper procedure na to, for example, granting that the school head followed the initial steps in the procurement, ang correct procedure is for the supplier to deliver first the item for inspection by the inspectorate team, and then afterwards, the disbursing officer will pay the supplier. Dili kay magbayad kadaan, anha i-deliver ang item. Correct procedure, i-deliver daan, inspected daan prior to the payment. Purchase orders should be delivered first, then delivery of items, then inspection, then process payment. Very good, Ma'am Teresa. Next scenario. the school's division office called up the principal for the submission of the enhanced school improvement plan, which is already due. To comply with the required submission, the school head worked overtime and submitted the said report on the next day. Is this a good practice or a poor practice? Deadline na, no? Kaya nagpabungol-bungol pa man si principal, no? Ahead of time. So nag-overtime siya and submitted the said report on the next day. It's a bad practice, no? According to Ma'am Shinmi. Bad practice. From Nening Limpon, from Ma'am Verna, it's a bad practice. What's the good or correct practice? So sa maday buhaton, it should be ahead of time. Nga kaya principal kay wala man po mag-inform sa mga teachers about the preparation of the school improvement plan. What's the correct procedure in the preparation of the enhanced school improvement plan? Do it on time. No, according to Ma'am Rowena, before due date, submit the document. So what's the correct procedure? Now, what's the correct procedure in the preparation of the SIP? No? So, ahead of time. So, we need to follow the procedures in the preparation of the enhanced school improvement plan. So, prior to the preparation of the plan, there is a need for the school head to organize the school planning team. So, the school planning team is headed by the school head with the president of the faculty club and president of the student government with representative from the barangay government and department heads as well as alumni association president. Mao na mo compose sa school planning team. So after the constitution of the school planning team, the school head shall call for planning workshop. No, during the planning workshop, the planning team will prepare the school improvement plan. No, ang itabuan ni kay Dirikso ra dayon without the participation of teachers. No, mo ni ingon nila nga kung sa Binisaya ba sa language sa to mga school head nga kapipis no kapipis ang ato ang SIP. Instead no mo copy paste lang sila sa SIP of other schools no para makasubmit sila. So ang nahitabo dili insakto ang SIP prepared by the school head. Ikopya raban sa other schools. Nya wa pagani maalis di pagyud ang need to follow the correct procedure in the preparation of SIP. Tama, dapat merong SWOT analysis in the planning, no? Determination of the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So dili kay 2 ka oras, 3 ka oras tapos na ang ato ang SIP. No, it starts with planning, no? Planning, determination of the priority improvement areas. So after determining the priority improvement areas, you will also identify the different programs, projects, and activities to comply with the requirements sa priority improvement areas na to, na natay PPAs, then implement na dayon na to. So not appropriate to the needs of the school. Dali-dali ni principal, kay copy-paste lang from other schools. Next scenario. The roof of one of the school buildings of an elementary school was destroyed during Typhoon Bibito. The principal utilized the MOE allocation of the school for the major repair of the roofing, though it is not included in his ESIP and APP. Is this a good practice or a poor practice? Nagbagyo, no? Ang nahitabo, gilupad ang atop sa eskwelahan. No, ang imo ni principal, gigamit niya ang MOE allocation for the major repair of the roofing. Wala pag yun sa SIP, wala pag yun sa annual procurement plan. Okay, ano sa emergency man siya. Minor lang dapat, according to Sir Jusam, illegal use of funds. No, anong illegal man siya? No, Miss Eden.
Anong dili man pwede gamiton ang MOA allocation for the repair? No? So based on the scenario, major repair, no, 50% or more, no, sa damage ang imo ang repair. So our MOA allocation is only intended for minor repair of school buildings. For example, replacement of doorknobs or replacement of ceiling, no, or pananglitan pila lang kapalit sa atop imuhang pulihan. That's minor repair or repainting. But MOE cannot be used for major programs of work. Very good. No? Mga bright na ito ang mga students sa Master of Arts in Education. Ang kulang ninyo, ang pag-take na lang sa National Qualifying Examination for Teachers. Ang pagpasar na lang. So congratulations in advance. So makita na ko nga naagid mo yung prior knowledge, no, on this topic. Next scenario, the laptop owned by the school that was purchased 3 years ago was stolen. The school head included the said property in the list of unserviceable properties. So what's the, is it a good practice or a poor practice? Nawala ang laptop, gigikawat. So ang gihimo ni school head o ni supply officer, i-appeal nila lista sa list of unserviceable properties. So what's the correct practice? Kasi dapat buhaton, nawala ang laptop. What are the procedures that we need to follow? Ang laptop nawala. No? Nagdala mo og laptop sa eskwelahan during the pandemic. So make an incident report, blotter, make a report of loss, submit a report. What else? Make a report. Oh, kanang list of unserviceable properties, report man na, no? Report man na for submission. What kind of report? Incident report. Very good. What else? Report to authority. Report the lost laptop to the custodian. Inform property custodian and make incident report. And after the preparation of the incident report, what will be the next step? Sige ko no, tanaw na to. Masay sunod buhaton, no? You found out that a laptop was stolen. Then, according to your responses, you will prepare incident report. So after the preparation of the incident report, what will be the next step? Type in your responses in our chat box. Check na to kung okay ba mo sa asset or supply management. No, sa itong buhaton, pinani nga senaryo sa buhaton ni principal. Dapat tayo mga responses niya. Submit or report to the custodian. And then, after the preparation and submission of report, investigate. Who will conduct the investigation? Report to barangay for incident for security purposes. According to Ma'am Junali. Make letter. Address to co. Very good. Report to DICT. No, okay. Gikan sa DICT ang mo nga laptop. O nag-report sa DICT. Sa kahatong buhaton na ni. So nanay mga kalamdagan sa inyong answers, but we need to follow the standard protocols that we need to follow, no, in addressing the problem. So sa unang buhaton, so mani buhaton na to, not only laptop, no, paitan i-ransak ang iyong eskwelahan, ikawat ang oven, ikawat ang welding machine, sa mga equipment inside your school. Kung kinsay nakapirma sa PAR, Property Acknowledgement Receipt, siya mo'y accountable of item. Now, for example, na-oven, dayon si tele teacher ang nagpirma sa property accountability form or report, no, kanang PAR, no, memorandum receipt or inventory custodian slip, siya mo'y nagpirma. So pag mawala ang oven, dili na tulubagon sa school head, tulubago na ni TLE teacher. No, munang dapat kanang inyong gidawat nga mga items with ICS, with PAR, with MR, dapat inyong ang ampingan. Kaya kung mawala, you will be held accountable. So, what are the procedures that we need to follow in case of losses? Number one, you are correct that there is a need to prepare incident report of what happened. Ano sa'yo nahitabo? Prepare an incident report and then submit your incident report to the school's division superintendent so that the superintendent will also know about the incident. You will also city police station, no, para nang ilahang i-blatter, no? Pag mag-blatter dito sa police, you request for investigation, no? You request for investigation of the incident sa police. Ang police dayon moadto sa eskwelahan to conduct an investigation of the incident and to gather facts, no? So maghatag dayon si police og investigation report, no? So pag nanakay copy sa investigation report, you will also request for police blotter extract, no, extract of the incident from the police blotter. Di mo siyang ipa-blotter sa police. So duhay mo baon sa police blotter extract and the report of investigation. So after getting the documents, you send a letter to the Commission on Audit, to the state auditor who is assigned in your division. And in your letter, you ask for relief of accountability of the lost item. You need to complete the whole process within 30 days. Now, within 30 days from the incident, dapat maka-request na ka for relief of accountability sa Commission on Audit. So you attach in your letter the police blotter extract, the incident report, the investigation report by the police, submit mo sa COA, and COA will evaluate your request. Anaon din sa COA kung kinahanglan ba i-relieve ka from the accountability, no? Kung i-relieve ka from the accountability, meaning dili ka pa bayron. Pero pag nakita ni COA na doon na kapabayaan on your part, so there is negligence on your part in the custody of the stolen item, probably your request will not be granted by COA. Pabayaron ka sa item tungod kay nakatinangag mo ka sa pananglitan ang oven na sulod sa kwarto, no, sa imong TLE or TVL room. Dayon wala naka-grill sa imong room. Dayon ang imong door wala naka-grills, wala naka-padlock, no, open. Then nakasulod ang kawatan dito. So there is a negligence on your part. So mayon si COA, agi man sa dangag-dangag nimo, so you will pay for the missing item. Pero if you are able to establish that there is no negligence on your part, kamera na igwardya din nakasulod pa yun, no, naningkamot ka nga ma-secure siya pero nalutsan ba yun ka, so mo na evaluate sa COA. Pag makita sa COA nga walay negligence on your part, ma-relief ka from the accountability. Pero kung may establish na there is negligence, napasabot ikaw mo'y magbayad. So ma-question na po na nato si school head, ma-question na po nato si gwardya nga ano nakasulod siya. So kung pananalitan walay gwardya inyong eskwelahan, dili secure ang inyong eskwelahan, nasudlan og kawatan, is liable. The school head is liable. The school head is accountable together with the TLE teacher to custody of the missing item. Wala man mo maning kamot na ma-secure ang item. So inana ang correct procedure. Malinaw, no? Maliwanag pa sa buwan. Okay pa mo diha? Thumbs up ko kung okay ra, nakapasa mo sa akong discussion. We will proceed to the next scenario. Thank you, Ma'am Jonaline. The school head served the canvas papers to the 3 suppliers and awarded it to the lowest bidder. Is this a good practice or a poor practice? The school head served the canvas papers or the request for quotation to the 3 suppliers and awarded it to the lowest bidder. Is this a poor or a good practice? Sakto na ang gimo ni principal, poor practice according to Ma'am Mary Chris. Bids and Awards Committee, poor. If this is a poor practice, what's the correct practice? Usay dapat buhaton, no? Usay dapat buhaton to make it a good practice, no? Should be the canvasser who will serve the canvas paper, not the principal. Very good. Because the principal is the head of the procuring entity. So there is no check and balance. No, there is no check and balance. So sakto nyo ang tubag that the canvasser shall serve the canvas papers to the suppliers, not the school head, because of check and balance. Kung ang school head ninyo may magdala sa school sa canvas paper dito sa supplier, base conflict of interest, the Bids and Awards Committee will canvass the item, not the principal. Correct? No, it is the duty of the BAC to designate a canvasser who will serve the canvas paper. Check. Thank you. So again, the school head is not the authorized person to serve the canvas paper. So, pero kasi nagpanghitabo sa ato ang field. Karon be, tanaw na to, reality check. Reality versus expectation. Do we have school heads in the field who personally bring canvas papers and pay the supplier? Nabay inana nga nagpanghitabo based on your experience nga ang principal gyud mo mangunay og dala sa canvas paper dayon ini panahon na sa tingbayad siya na po'y magdala sa bayad. Naba ana? Sige kono be, please type in your responses. No, very good. According to Ma'am Shayna, no. So your school is following the correct procedure. So the school head is the head of the procuring entity. Very good. Wala. Very good. But before, there were times that the school head prepared all the documents. No, buhaton na ni Bakay. Mupirma na lang sa abstract of bids, mupirma lang sa resolution. Pero ang nag-canvas, ang nagbayad si school head. That's violation of Republic Act 9184. You need to follow the correct procedure. Kung si principal mo'y mangunay ana, magduda ta. Ano siya maging mangunay? Nga na may laing tao. Kung do datas. Na-answer before, no? According to Ma'am Jory. So next scenario, the school head designated 3 members of the Bids and Awards Committee. Is this a poor practice or a good practice? 7 dapat. No? According to Ma'am Mary Chris. 5. Very good. Poor practice. 5 to 7. Sir Dari. Thank you. At least 5. Poor practice according to Ma'am Zori. 5. At least. Very good. No? You are correct. No? You are correct that the Bids and Awards Committee shall be called ang Bids and Awards Committee. No? So pwede 5, pwede 7. Pwede ba 6? Pwede ba 6 a member sa Bids and Awards Committee? Pwede? Yes? 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 Not less than 5 members? Yes? Pwede ko no 6? Okay, 5 to 7 man. It can also be more than 7 like in GRMS. Probably in GRMSU, there are different Bids and Awards Committee. No, back for supplies, for goods, back for infrastructure, and back for consultancy services. No? Posible po, pwede po din na. So, ang recommendation na to is to have 5 to 7. Dapat ang ato ang membership sa ato ang Bisan Awards Committee is odd number, either 5 or 7. Kaya nga nung odd number, tungod kay naman ang chair sa Bisan Awards Committee. For example, if there are 5 members in the Bisan Awards Committee, if there is a tie in the decision, duha ang yes, duha ang no, ang chair nga usa ikalima mo break sa tie. So kung unom ka book members, usaon pag-break sa tie in case of tie. So preferably odd number, basta organization, preferably odd number 5 or 7. 5 or 7. 5 to 7. Pwede ang 6 pero magproblema ta in case of tie. Okay, very good responses. Next scenario, office supplies were purchased by the school head even if the items were not included in the annual procurement plan. Is this a good practice or a poor practice? Thank you. Poor practice, thumbs down. What's the correct practice? What's the correct practice for this scenario? Mansa insakto ani nga practice? Para ani? Any response? If this is a poor practice, what's the correct practice? It can be realigned po. What do you mean by realign? Realignment. Items not included in the APP should not be procured unless it is emergency case where there is life and death situation. Very good answer. Sa pagyon. Any other response? Thank you very much for your active participation, no? Salamat kay bisag wa kay ta magkita-kita, no? Face to face. But I'm glad we did your active participation in your chat group. Ang uban siguro ay basin na busy po do panglaba or na busy ka sa beach or nanabo ba ka ang uban or misimba ang uban. But anyway, those who cannot access the chat group, you just listen. Ang uban po gipahimo pa og diploma, no? Nagklase karon dayon nagdiploma. So thank you Ma'am Teresa. Ma'am Teresa is one of the back members of GRNHU, back technical working group. What's the correct practice? Unsa dayon ang buhaton? Ani, kini nga nahitabo, ipalit ang items not found in the APP. The correct procedure is, for example, no, there are items that are not found in the APP, but there is a need to procure the item. No? You can prepare a supplemental annual procurement plan. Please take note that according to RA 9184, no APP, no procurement. So it is irregular to procure items which are not found in the annual procurement plan. To justify the procurement, you create a supplemental annual procurement plan. So do not procure items not found in the APP without supplemental APP. Kay sigurado mo nga AOM, makadawat mo audit observation memorandum from the Commission on Audit. Correct, Ma'am Teresa, the realignment should be approved by the head of the procuring entity because your APP, the APP of the school will be prepared by the box secretariat and will be approved by the head of the procuring entity. So do we have schools here? Were you able to see your APP for 2022? Kita mo, wala. Thumbs up kung nakakita mo, wala. Ang uban, yes, not yet. Yes po, very good. Yes, wala, sir. Wala kakita sa APP. Ang uban, nakakita. Ang uban, wala. Nagpasabot, nga natay problema in posting of transactions, no? According to guidelines, dapat ang ato ang annual procurement plan, your school operating budget, your annual implementation plan must be disseminated to all teachers and it must be posted in your Transparency Board, no? Para pakita ninyo dito kung naaba ang inyong paliton, no? So ingon sa TESDA na prepare sila og APP per qualification. Very good. So depende ra na, diskarte ra na, no? Mas simplify siya kung per qualification. So it must be posted. Tama, Sir Art, it must be posted in the Transparency Board. So please take note that again, you cannot purchase items not found in the APP. So kung wala dito sa APP, then nag-request ka sa imong principal, magpapalit ka o medals because the graduation rites will be held in the last week of June. Dahil wala sa APP ang medals, kaya abi nimo walay recognition karong June. Moingon din si principal, dili na nato pwede paliton kay wala sa APP. So ang option is for the end user to request for the inclusion of the items in the supplemental APP to justify the procurement. So dili po pwede nga wala na lay medal kay wala sa APP. Pangitaan o pamaagi. At least every 6 months you can prepare your annual or supplemental procurement plan. So thank you. Thank you very much for your responses to the different scenarios. So I will proceed to the discussion of fiscal management. Will you define fiscal management? So in plain and simple language, what is fiscal management? Sa mga fiscal management, directing according to Ma'am Mary, fiscal management is associated to directing. You direct the utilization of funds as a school head. Revenue generated, the process of keeping an organization running efficiently within its allotted budget. Very good, Ma'am Anambi. Planning, directing, utilization based on the allotted budget. Any other response from the participants? As of the moment, we have 121 participants planning and organizing financial resources. Control, budget control. Very good. What else? Decision making is also important in fiscal management. Control of financial resources, financial matter, budgeting. So in your previous sessions, you had discussion with Attorney Estrella about fiscal management, no? But today we will discuss fiscal management in the context of our schools or the Department of Education. Money management, budgeting, request for quotation. So fiscal management, this is the ability of the organization to develop and manage financial system through responsible stewardship of fiscal resources. Meaning, fiscal management is the development and management of financial systems. So there is a need to develop and implement and manage financial system. That's fiscal management. This is utilization of resources based on the established financial system. And please take note of the coverage of fiscal management. So sa itong buhaton, no, in fiscal resources well without your SIP, because your school improvement plan contains your budget, no, for the 3-year time. The school improvement plan, this is a roadmap. This is a 3-year plan of the school that lays down specific interventions, programs, projects, and activities which will be undertaken with a period of 3 consecutive school years. So dapat sa fiscal management naana kay SIP. kay ang fiscal management procedures are also incorporated in your school improvement plan. So probably in the universities and other institutions, na sila gitawag og strategic plan. So sa ato sa DepEd, we call it as school improvement plan. Your SIP is very important. Inside, nakakita na sa SIP sa eskwelahan. Please type in your responses. Good. Ma'am Shaina, very good. Kita na sa SIP sa eskwelahan. How about other participants? Were you able to see and read the SIP of your school? Very good, Sir Art. Sige ko na ang uban. Napay wala kakita sugod sa SIP? Nakabalupod mo sa isulod sa inyong SIP. Kung nakakita mo sa inyong SIP, what are the chapters in your SIP? Sige ko na ba? Not yet, kay wala pa na-hire. Puhon ma-hire, no? Sa generation ay 5-year strategic plan. We have IDP, sir, Institutional Development Plan for 5 years. Very good. This is for TESDA, right? For local government units, we also have investment plan, no? Investment plan. So lain-lain sa ngalan, institutional development plan, strategic plan, school improvement plan. Pero ang generic ani niya nga tanan nga plano is strategic plan either for 3 years or 5 years. For the Department of Education, we have a 3-year strategic plan called SIP. Now for our teachers and school heads here in the platform, also the SIP of your schools, what are the chapters in your SIP? Sa economy, tanaw na to. So, unsa may sulod sa inyo ang SIPB? Tanaw na to. In the DepEd, no? Balik na sa DepEd. So, what are the contents of your SIP? Because fiscal management starts with proper planning of the SIP. Because if you fail to plan, you also plan to fail. No? Proper planning prevents poor performance. So, ang operations sa organization starts with proper planning. So, if your school is operating without an SIP or the SIP of your school is defective, then dili mo dagan na inyong programa. Sorry sir, wala kadiri sa amo sir, walay signal. According to Ma'am Irene ay rationally, signal is poor. Very good, Sir Art. DepEd vision, mission, and vision values. School current situation, sa pani, plan, monitor, and evaluation. Very good, Sir Art. Now, there are only 4 chapters in our SIP. Starts with chapter 1, which is DepEd vision and mission with reflections, no? Nasa mga reflections, no? Then sunod, the DepEd vision, chapter 1 is followed by chapter 2, which is assess. No, chapter 2, the title of chapter 2 is assess. There is a need to conduct environmental scanning, to conduct SWOT analysis, to assess the current situation of your school so that you will be able to identify the different priority improvement areas. So kung mahibalaan nimo sa mga problema sa inyong eskwelahan in chapter 2, you can then prepare your plan, your annual implementation plan. And chapter 4, after planning, you will implement the plan. Then afterwards, you will monitor and evaluate the implementation of your plan. So that's the sequence. So there are only 4 chapters in your SIP. Chapter 3, list of solutions. Project work budgets. Very good. Very good. So your SIP is very important because it also contains your budget for 3-year time. So kung wala kay SIP, dili klaro imo ang budget. So it starts with proper planning. Then second, it starts with assessment, situational analysis. So in this part, during the planning workshop, you will conduct SWOT analysis or problem tree or any other technique so that you will be able to assess the current situation of your school. So after assessing the situation of your school, you will prepare your programs, projects, and activities which are anchored on the priority improvement area. So pananglitan sa situational analysis, nakita nimo dito nga daghang mga bata ninyo dili kabasa, no, based on research, based on survey, based on field area results, daghang mga bata nga dili kabasa sa situational analysis. So sa planning stage, you will then create, conceptualize program, activities, and projects to address the problem. So pangitan dili kabasa ang bata, so sa imong plano magkanda ka og reading remediation. That's your plan. No, dayon when you conduct reading remediation, there is also corresponding financial allocation so that you will be able to carry out your plan. So after planning, you will implement your plan. And during the implementation of your plan, you will monitor the implementation, and at the end, you will conduct evaluation of the programs, projects, and activities. So pagkasunod tuig na pod, balik na pod. No, tanaw nimo kay cycle naman siya. So meaning every year, so if your SIP is for 2022, 2023, 2024, 3-year strategic plan man siya, every year you will submit an annual implementation plan. For year 1, which is 2022, AIP also for 2023, and AIP also for 2024. Again, fiscal management starts with proper planning para sakto inyong kwarta. So please take note of the template of the annual implementation plan in your SIP. Nakatranslate tayo diri sa AIP unsa inyong programs, projects, and activities with corresponding objective, with corresponding performance indicators, source of budget, and your sa inyong annual implementation plan contained in your chapter 3 of the SIP. So kung wala mo kaapas ani bahin sa SIP, probably you can request your school head to conduct an orientation about SIP. Okay. So after planning, so granting that you already prepared your SIP, next step is to generate resources, to source out funds for your programs, projects, and activities. The sources may be government subsidy or private sector donation. So pwede sa gawas, pwede sa sulod. So pwede kang magbuhat pondo to finance your project through your MOE, or you can generate your resources from the barangay government through the 20% development fund, or through the local school board special education fund. So kung mag-unsa man na imong plano kung wala kay kwarta, because money is the lifeblood of any organization. So kung wala kay kwarta, dili mo dagan imong organization. Wapo kay imong plano pero wala kay kwarta. Again, first step is to prepare your plan. Second step is to source out, generate funds. And third is to allocate the funds properly. No, dili lang siya allocation. We will highlight the word proper allocation. So nakakita na kag kwarta. Sunod buhaton, asa na ko ni i-budget sa mga project. And fourth is to actually use the resources and care for the utilization of resources. Dili na to iwaldas. So naanatay plano, naka-generate na tag resources, naka-allocate na ta og pondo, ato na siyang gamiton. Dayon, kinahanglan during the utilization of funds from different sources, it must be properly recorded. And all records pertaining to the transactions must be kept properly. Dapat hipuson siya. Kay mo man basihan na nimo sa imong financial statement, no, for transparency. And 6 is monitoring and control of the nga fiscal management is associated to control, no? Again, in the utilization of funds, there is a need to control and there is a need to monitor. Kay basig na commit kag technical malversation, no? Kay juggling of funds, i-allocate nimo ni diri nga project or gastuanan, gigamit nimo sa lain nga gastuanan. So that's juggling, no, malversation, technical malversation of funds. Gigamit tuod nimo pero not aligned with the intended purpose. Again, please take note of the coverage of fiscal management starts with proper planning, followed by generation of funds either from the school, MOE, from the PTA, from the private or government sector. And third is proper allocation. Fourth is actual utilization and care of the funds. Fifth is proper recording of all transactions. And sixth is monitoring of the utilization. So what constitutes poor fiscal management? So sa may mahitabo kung if you are not able to manage your resources well, so money siya, unplanned expenditures, meaning you spent money not intended for that purpose, meaning not found in your EIP, not found in your APP, dayon imuha siyang gamiton. Wala siya nakaplano, wala budget. Unnecessary expenditures, meaning dili gikinahanglan, meaning probably extravagant spending, no, unnecessary expenditure or lack of record keeping. You know, you fail to record transactions, no, in the utilization of funds. No, you also misspent the budget or failed to spend the budget. There is an allocation pero wala nimo magamit. So in the management of resources in the Department of Education, dapat zero balance na at the end of the utilization period. Kaya ang concept good ni government, dapat online pundo nga mo float, meaning mulutaw siya. Once tagaan ka kwarta sa gobyerno, dapat hutdo nimo na siya o gamit. For example, if your school has an allocation of 50,000 pesos a month for MOE allocation, nagamit, i-question ka ni DepEd, nga naman nga wala nimo ni magamit, nga gihatagan mga og budget. So dapat, spend nimo up to the last centavo of your budget. No? Para ang ato ang utilization rate taas. Mo pa rin problema na to in the Department of Education. No? In the prior years, there were findings from the Commission on Audit and from the DBM that DepEd failed to utilize the allocated funds for different projects. Wala magamit. Manang i-question ta sa Senate, i-question ta sa House of Representatives pag budget hearing, nga naman mong mangayo man mo daghang kwarta DepEd, nga gitagaan mo daghang kwarta pero wala man ninyo magamitan. Nagpasabot nga kung dili nimo magamit ang kwarta nga gihatag sa gobyerno, di nimo magamit tanan. Nagpasabot nga naay problema in the utilization. Dili ka tagaan og daghang kwarta kay di man nimo mahurot og gamit. Oh, that's the concept of the government. So if there is an allocation, you need to utilize. So if there is an allocation, you need to utilize the allocation for the intended purpose and for the intended period. So there is pilferage, possibly dikaw-kaw ni school head or ni teacher. Panamitan ang kwarta or inferior record keeping. So because of these poor practices, it may result to 1, budget deficit. No, kung nakay mga unplanned expenditures or unnecessary expenditures, so you will spend out of your budget. So may tabo, magkulang na dahil imuhang budget. Kinanubra man imuhang gasto kay sa imuhang budget. Next, fail to meet the target. No? So again, if you plan out in your SIP and AIP nga himuon nimo ning project in a certain period of time, pero wala nimo magasto ang kwarta, wala nimo ay ma-implement, meaning ang target nimo dili nimo ma-meet, meaning failure ka in the implementation of your plan. Again, this is common practice in our schools, no, that we need to address. So every year, the DepEd will allocate MOE allocation for schools. Ang problema sa ito mga school, for example, for 2023 budget, we will be talking of 2023. As early as November of 2022, DBM will already release the National Expenditure Program. November 2022, magpagawas na sa DBM o listahan sa budget sa kada eskwelahan as early as November 2022. So upon receipt of your budgetary allocation for 2023, there is a need for the school to prepare the budget for 2023 ahead of time. So as early as November 2022, prepare na kag annual procurement plan nimo, prepare na kag annual implementation plan o kung sa gastuon nimo sa 2023, so that in the first month of 2023, January 2023, you can spend your money right on the first month. Dili kay pag-abot sa Enero, pag-abot sa Pebrero, anha pa magdali-dali o prepare og annual procurement plan. Mao nang malangan ang pag-procure og mga items because the school head, the BAC, also failed to prepare the annual procurement plan ahead of time. Again, for 2023, you need to prepare the annual procurement plan as early as November of 2022. Kabalot naman ka. For example, if your allocation is 500,000 for 2023, Hindi mo kag APP budget nimo for 2023 in the amount of 500,000. For example, MOE allocation is 500,000. Kung himuan nimo ang annual procurement plan, katong mga items nga imong i-procure. Katong mga items like electricity bills, water bills, internet connections, cable TV, telephone, i-deduct na nimo sa 500,000. For example, based on the prior year's utilization, ang nagasto ninyo sa bills, 100,000 for electricity, for internet, for telephone, 100,000. So 500,000 minus 100,000, you have a remaining amount of 400,000 pesos. So 400,000 pesos will be the basis in the preparation of your annual procurement plan. So muna na imong basihan para palito nimo sa supplies and materials, para sa repair and maintenance of your school. So prior to the preparation of APP, the school head OFP, once ay nasa work and financial plan. Nasa work and financial plan, ang mga tasks of the teacher that he or she need to perform within the year. So for example, o sa task ni teacher is reproduction of self-learning materials or modules. So ibutang niya dito sa work and financial plan nga mag-print ko og modules, kinahanglan ko og bond paper, kinahanglan ko og ink, kinahanglan ko printer with the corresponding amount. So indicate niya dito kung saan supplies and materials needed by the teacher for the entire year. So after preparing the work and financial plan, the teacher will also prepare the project procurement management plan, PPMP. So extract ni teacher from the work and financial plan ug unsa mga specific items that he or she will procure in 2023 and put those items in the project procurement management plan. So after preparing the project procurement management plan, the BAC Secretariat shall consolidate all the PPMPs of teachers. No? Trabaho na sa BAC Secretariat to consolidate all the PPMPs and translate into annual procurement plan. So muna yung trabaho. So ang annual procurement plan must be prepared by the BAC Secretariat and must be approved by the head of the procuring entity or the school head or the TESDA provincial director or the university president in case of colleges. Again, meaning in planning, fiscal planning, dapat ahead of time. So for 2023, ang budget preparation starts in September until December of 2022. Dili kay kung kano sa kinahanglanon, anha na po magdali-dali o himo sa APP. So if you have questions about my presentations, please type in your questions in the chat box so that I can address your questions while I am discussing. No? Kaya ron basig mabiyaan na yun. So, please take note of the skills and knowledge needed by our fiscal managers. So, what are considered as fiscal managers? School heads, no? Our fiscal managers, our bookkeepers, our disbursing officers. Tanan ba nga eskwelahan na ay disbursing officer, designate, and bookkeeper? Please type in our chat box. Yes, if you have school designated bookkeeper and disbursing officer, please type in your chat box. How about from other schools? Do you have bookkeepers? Disbursing officers? Yes. Very good. Yes. Check na tong nabay nagno. Yes. Yes, very active. We have designated officers. Ang ADAS na to, no? Senior bookkeeper. Yes. Very good. Meaning, we have fiscal managers in our schools. The school head, the bookkeeper, and the disbursing officer. And these fiscal managers must have skills on basic accounting. So they will also be able to develop a technology or a system related to financial management. Nga mag-prepare sila nga naka-hyperlink na from PR up to purchase order, up to RIS na nasa system. Maron dili madugay, no, ang processing of documents. Dapat na sila skill ana. Next, our fiscal managers must also know the policies and procedures in the utilization of funds. So, dapat na sila copy of the Financial Management Operations Manual, FMOM, and the General Accounting Manual or the GAM. Dapat na sila na policies and procedures, debit orders on the utilization of MOE. They have also the skills on how to prepare budget and how to manage our budget. And also about the preparation of contract and contract negotiation. Now, what is equivalent to our schools para aning contract? Anang contract nga gipasabot din mao na ang ato ang mga purchase orders. So dapat kabalo ang atong fiscal managers on the preparation of purchase orders and on the negotiation of these purchase orders. And they must also know how to generate resources for the schools. Again, please take note that school heads must possess knowledge and skills of different aspects in management. Dili lang kay busy si school head pag-check sa lesson plan, no, as an instructional leader. Dapat administrative manager po siya. Napoy mga school heads nga busy lang og liquidate. Na walay check sa naasay skill in accounting, dapat naasay skill in engineering para makabalo po siya maghimo og program of works. Dapat naasay skill in conflict resolution. Dapat abogadohon po siya kay magtuon mga procedures, no, in handling cases, management of conflict. Dapat unsa pa si school head, dapat multi-skilled si school head. So munang dapat andamo ninyo inyong kaugalingon inigabot sa panahon, no, because the position is God given, la position just dada. So mingon mo ron nga di man ko mag-school head, na eskwela ako para ko ma-promote. What if inigabot sa panahon, no, bulahan mo sa mga babae o lalaki nga tanan, no, kamo mo ibutang nga TIC or OIC in your school, nag-leave si principal, then walay lain nga mosulod. So kung dili ka andam, magka-problema ka in the management of the school. So dapat multi-skill si principal. So kung si principal dili multi-skill sa itong eskwelahan, we will provide the technical assistance. Kaya dili man tanan na hibalaan ni principal. So tabangan na to siya, dili kay i-criticize na to siya without offering solution to the problem. So again, it is not easy to become a school head. So you must be ready, you must be prepared, no, for the procedure. And according to Ma'am Teresa, you will also be updated on GPPB, Government Procurement Policy Board trainings. No? Kinahanglan mo undergo si si school head o training on procurement. Kaya ang problema, train ang ato ang back pero sa school head dili. Nga kay magbuot man na sa school head kaysa may hawd-hawd sa eskwelahan. Dahil kung matarog ang back ni school head, magka-problema na dahil in the procurement. Please take note that we have RA 9184. Kung masipyat mo in the procurement, posible mo kasuhan. Please take note nga kung kasuhan mo, tungod kay nagdinangag mo in the procurement, inyuhang tulubagon ang mangita o abogado. Mulang kinahanglan, mubasa mo sa implementing rules and regulations of RA 9155. Kinahanglan updated ka on the procurement para walay problema in the procurement. Kaya kung magka-problema ka, dili ka knowledgeable on procurement, on fiscal management, ma-EOM ka sa kuha, ma-disallow ka sa kuha, dakong problema. Mao na you are you and you will be able also to understand your school head. Nga nung inani si school head. So, tanan niyo, nakabalo mo ano yung mga butang si school head wala. So, inyong tabangan si school head. No? Para dili mo magka-problema sa eskwelahan. Again, please take note that public office is public trust. And all employees in the organization must be at all times accountable to the people. So there is a need for everyone, for every government worker to serve with utmost honesty, responsibility, integrity, loyalty, and efficiently act with patriotism and lead modest lives. No? RA 6713 was discussed by Attorney Jerry Mayormita of the Civil Service Commission yesterday. So, giklaro bigay na sa ato ang accountability. So, mora na ato ang Biblia, no, in the discharge of our functions, no. We need to become professionals. Munang dili ta mag-wild sa Facebook, no. Kung naay problema sa eskwelahan, dili mag-wild sa Facebook. Dito sa Facebook, butyag ang tanan niyang reklamo against the school head. That's not the proper forum. So if you have concerns with your school head, to communicate properly to your school head. So kaya ang Facebook wala man ay ikatabang nimo, no, ang mga marites raman daghan lami man bugay basa-basa go sa Facebook, no, sa mga post sa Facebook kung naidaghan kayo marites dito. Pero improper nga kung mag-wild ka sa Facebook. Napa sa Facebook mga positive vibes ang ato ang ibutang dito. But again, during the pandemic, nahimo ng self-expression ang Facebook. But again, as professionals, no, as professional teachers, professional school heads, please channel your comments, your criticisms in proper forum. No, kay part man po na sa tong psychological safety. So pag tanaw na to nga dihado ta or naliksa na nga to ang pagbati, or if you realize that you are not psychologically safe in your school, dili na ka iyang, then you express but in proper forum. Stop done, gets ninyo? Naarabay tendency nga si Hope magbuod, kaklaro, ana. Mauna nga, dili sa tanang higayon insakto sa head sa procuring entity. So kung mo give in ka ni Hope, dayon dili mao ang gusto sa head, priso mo tanan, wanay maghatod og balon sa prisuhan. No, ina sir, di pa biya pod mi gusto mapriso sir. Anyway, ang Hope has the authority to approve the back resolution or to disapprove the back resolution. So dapat dili yun magpadala si back chair. Dapat principal jud. Ana jud ma'am. Parang may hugot si ma'am, no? May hugot si ma'am. Ang ato alang nga dapat kapunta sa regulations. Again, in the utilization of funds, no, all resources of the government shall be managed, expended, or utilized in accordance with laws, rules, regulations, and safeguarded against loss or wastage through illegal or improper disposition with a view of ensuring economy, efficiency, and effectiveness in the operation of the government. All resources of the government shall be managed well. No, ayuho na to. Mo ni problema na to in schools, no? Probably before the pandemic, there were donations from the Parents Teachers Association, right? Diba? Kaya kung magpatawag o meeting si teacher, present dayon niya ang igang mga kayo ang kwarto, no? Electric fan, magpahangin-hangin dayon si teacher. So maingon dayon ang homeroom PTA nga, ma'am, mag-amot mi para sa electric fan. O sige, maingon si ma'am, sige, inyohan ang desisyon ha. So, na-desisyonan man sa homeroom PTA, nag-amot ang mga parents. But please take note that the teacher is not authorized to take custody of the contributions from parents. Once mudawat ka sa amot sa mga ginikanan, dayon ay mo reklamo against nimo, mamiligro ka. So, kung may mga contributions offered by parents, the funds must be collected by the PTA treasurer or anybody who is designated by the PTA. Sila ra po'y mo palit sa item. Dili kay ikaw mag-amot, sila nag-amot, ikaw naghawi, then ikaw mo'y mapalit sa electric fan, then ikaw mo'y magtaod sa electric fan, ceiling fan sa imong room. Maigo ka. No, aron dili ka maigo, parents may mangulikta, donation from parents. Ang problema nato, we fail to record all donations. According to guidelines, all donations must be properly recorded. Ang nahitabo, walay deed of donation ang electric fan. So nahitabo, pagbalhin ni teachers sa sunod tuig kay sa lain na po sa room, gitanggal na po niya ang electric fan kay gibalhin sa iyahang room. Kay wala may deed of donation, wala sa inventory sa eskwelahan, so wala habol si principal. Pag-retire ni teacher, the following year, gitanggal na po niya ang electric fan, gidala sa ilahang balay. Kaya wala may proper recording of donations. I would just like to emphasize that all donations, either from PTA and other sources, must be properly documented. The donor shall execute deed of donation, and the donee shall also acknowledge through an acknowledgement receipt, and it must be recorded in the inventory of the school para walay problema. Pareha sa window grills, no? Nag-amot sa window grills, kinikanan, pag-alhin sa lain nga room, itangtang na po ang window grills, kagipalhin na po sa lain nga room. So inana man na nagpanghitabo, no? So no proper recording. So mo di siya nga, ingon si PD number 1445, that all resources of the government shall be managed. Once donated, it will be considered as government resources. So it will be utilized in accordance with laws, rules, and regulations. Again, I would like to remind those school heads that as fiscal managers of the schools, you are responsible and accountable for the school resources that include funds, facilities, equipment, and other assets of the school. And you are the authorized signatory of all important documents. As a signatory, you are accountable and responsible of your action. So ang tendency ra ba sa uban kay pirma lang, walay basa-basa sa dokumento, no? Basta nailahangalan, di ba? Nagpahitabo ko ni sa schools, no? Status reality check. No? There are also schools wherein bids and awards committees are not functioning well. Meaning, there is bids and awards committee, but the members of the BAC are not performing sa canvas papers or request for quotation, iandam tanan ni bookkeeper or ni supply officer, dahil ihatag na dahil ni BAC para mo pirma si BAC. Basta naingala niya, pirma dayon without reading the documents. BAC members, please be responsible of your actions. No? Dili mo pirma kung wala nakabalo o kung saan na ang gipirmahan. Kay basin, i-IOM mo, makita sa COA, magka-problema mo. Kaysa pa'y dapat head sa Bids and Awards Committee. Katong pinakadakong sweldo, mo ay dapat head sa Bids and Awards Committee. For example, master teacher. No? Kung ay master teacher, master teacher. Kung wala, head teacher. Kung wala head teacher, teacher 3. No? Katong taas o posisyon. No? Kaya magkakaso-kaso, ang master teacher maka-afford na counter affidavit nga 5,000. Reklamo mo sa ombudsman, hire din mo kabugado 5,000. No? Kaya nagdagdangag mo sa inyo ang procurement sa BAC. Kaya mo man ay risk yun. So dapat extra careful ta when we sign documents. We need to follow the correct procedure in the procurement and make sure you know what you are signing. So, again, our time is 11:37. Kaya pa ninyo diha? Okay ra mo? Thumbs up ko na ba kung okay ra mo diha? Kung magpadayon ko or gigutom na mo? Or nagpadayon ra mo og laba? Or nag-Netflix ra mo diha? Okay pa? Nag-multitasking? Okay, very good. No? At least naghandag mo cover karon, no? Pasensya na mo, taas ako coverage for today. Kaya gisulit na lang ako ang panahon. So again, please take note of the responsibilities of school principal as fiscal manager. Number one, the school head must lead in the preparation of the SIP and AIP. Again, it is the responsibility of the school head to create the school planning team, but he must be the leader in the crafting of the SIP. Next, the school head shall also ensure that funds are budgeted, made available, and spent according to the usual rules and regulation of the government. And third, execution of the needs. So dapat there is proper execution of the budget. There is a need to follow a specific timeline in the execution, implementation of programs, projects, and activities. And the school head must also be responsible for understanding and ensuring compliance with the rules and regulations of the government. And he must also ensure that the procurement activities are properly and adequately staffed, meaning there is an active bids and awards committee, technical working group, and back secretariat to do back related or procurement related activities. And he or she must ensure that the school systems are covering property management. So after procurement, after procuring the items, no, it must be recorded, it must be released and properly recorded by the supply officer designate or property custodian designate. And he or she makes certain that assets are well maintained and repaired on a regular basis. So there is a need also to prepare an asset management plan and maintenance plan. Mo rin problema na to, no, sa Department of Education and other agency. We often receive donations or we often receive equipment from our head offices, central office, for example, the ICT, no, kana mga computers na to. Pero ang problema na to kay wala tay maintenance plan, no? Kano sa ani i-maintaining ang mga computers, kano sa alis ng hard disk, kano sa alis ng memory, kano sa ani siya i-reformat. So wala tay asset management plan or maintenance plan. So dapat responsibilidad po na niya sa school head to have maintenance plan and asset management plan. And make sure that all donations out of budget funds such as earnings from the canteen operations or income generations from other school activities be recorded regularly. Proper recording. I stand corrected from DepEd Computerization Program, not from the ICT. Thank you, Sir Art. No, DCP, DepEd Computerization Program. Ito mga blue mga laptops na nadawat na to. So again, all donations must be recorded properly. Pero specific rin as such earnings from the canteen operations. So I would just like to ask you if you have school canteens, please type. Yes, none. Other schools, school canteen. And others don't have also school canteen. None as of now. But, masa ingon i-depend. Ingon i-depend per DepEd order on the maintenance of school canteen, organization of school canteen. Dapat nagitay canteens sa eskwelahan, no, as part of our support services to our learners. And there are two types of school canteen. Ang first type is teacher managed canteen or school managed canteen. So ang school managed canteen headed by the school head ay na-designate nga teacher to manage the canteen. No, ang mga teachers mismo mo ay magbutang o capital for the canteen, dayon ang income bahinon. No, there is a formula in the sharing canteen proceeds, no, na ay share for school-based feeding program, share for the school, no, for the school managed canteen. Nana si bahin-bahin. For teachers cooperative co-op managed canteen, it must be registered with the Cooperative Development Authority, CTA. Pero talagsaranan na ay co-op managed canteen sa ato mga schools. Most of the schools are school managed canteen. Again, all proceeds, earnings must be recorded. So the school heads can also provide daily oversight or monitoring on the utilization of funds and takes care that processes and controls are in place. Meaning, ang magpasabutan ng number 10 nga dapat kabalusin principal kung unsa ang usual rules and regulations of the government, and he or she needs to ensure that the utilization of funds must be in accordance with the established rules of the government. So control. Number 11, there is proper and accurate recording, analyzing and reporting of transactions, checks the accuracy and reliability of accounting data. So dapat kabalo siya ng check disbursement register or cash disbursement register. Dapat kabalo si school head on how to prepare the school operating budget based on the annual procurement plan. Again, the school head must possess accounting skills. Monitor reconciliation of accounts, no, mga financial statements, and all expenditures must be in conformity with the budget or appropriate budget changes have been made to reflect a change in the original budget. For example, there is supplemental budget, so dapat kabalo si school head ana nganong naa ni supplemental budget. And the school head must also be able to connect each unit with another unit, no? He or she can connect with the academic offices, with the property and supply, procurement bank, human resource, general services, fiscal facilities management, and accounting. Again, as fiscal manager, the school head must possess the necessary skills on how to handle supply and property. So property and supply management, lahi nga skills ang gikinahanglan na. Ang procurement skills, lahi po nga skill. Ang human resource management, lahi po siya nga skill. General services, ang pasabot ni maintenance of the school plant, no, operation of the school physical facilities, management, and accounting. So kinahanglan si principal ang pinaka-bright o pinaka-atid sa inyong eskwelahan. Daghan siyang trabaho, daghan siyang bayranan. Number 15, he or she is also responsible to secure assets, properties of the school, to sign all financial transactions, and lastly, to understand the government budgeting system. So our school heads were trained on financial management operations. They were also trained on procurement, RA 9184, and school heads development program was also implemented by DepEd. So once si school head nga karaan na assign in your school, nana sila knowledge on the different aspects. Pero ang problema lang na to, during sa training, wala pa magtulog-tulog si school head or nalimot. Murang kinahanglan, mag-refresh, magbasa. So when approving documents, the school head needs to verify codes. So when you prepare your school operating budget, account codes are indicated in one column as well as the particulars or description. So i-check niya kung ang iyahang traveling expenses, wala pa ma-charge sa supplies and materials ng account code. Freight and handling, wala ba ma-charge sa food expense. So there is a specific account code for each procurement. And second, check the school head if the procurement is compliant with the school operating budget and annual procurement plan. And he or she needs also to ensure that funds are available in the account to cover authorized charges. Reality check, no, sa ito ang mga eskwelahan. So, di ba ingon ko, by 2023, mahibalaan na ang budget as early as November of 2022. So meaning, in November 2022, the school head and the Bisan Awards Committee shall prepare the annual procurement plan. So kabalo na siya kung pilay gastoon in January 2023 until December 2023. So meaning, prior to the receipt of the MOE, the school head together with the Bisan Awards Committee must start the procurement process. For example, karon May. Next month is June. So next month, you will receive another MOE allocation sa June. So as early as May, for example, your allocation for MOE is 50,000 for June. So as early as May, you need to start the procurement process ahead. Kaya na naman kay ATP. So kabalo na ka, kung sa imong paliton sa June. So sa May pa lang, you will prepare the purchase request, the request for quotation or canvas of bids, and other documents short of award. Meaning you will procure short of award in May. So do not issue the purchase order. I-issue nimo ang purchase order upon receipt of the MOE. Ang problema na to sa mga schools good, mo nang dugay ang liquidation, madili ang utilization of funds. Kaya kung kanusa sila makadawat sa MOE, anha pa sila mag-start sa procurement process, which is wrong, no? Which is not a good practice. It's a poor practice, no? Kapalo naman ka makadawat ka kay abstract of bids, resolutions, and purchase order in May. Sa June, upon receipt of your 50,000 MOE allocation, i-deliver na dayon nimo ang purchase order to fast track the procurement. So upon delivery of the purchase order to the supplier will deliver the items. Then after inspection, the cashier or disbursing officer will pay the supplier, no? Inaan na ang proseso para paspas ang utilization. Dili kay kung karon mo abot ang MOE, anha pag yun magdali o procure. So reality check. Is that incident happening in your school nga magdali-dali o procure kung kano sa madawat ang MOE anha pa mag-start sa procurement process? Please type yes kung naitabo sa inyong eskwelahan. No if not evident. Okay? Any response? What's the practice in your school? Do you conduct advanced procurement prior to the receipt of your MOE? Yes? Mas saning yes, sir. Meaning advanced procurement. So you know, yes for advanced procurement. Very good. How about the other? Advanced. Good. Prepared ahead of time. That's a correct, good practice. So do not procure during the receipt of your MOE. Procure ahead to fast track procurement. Prepared ahead of time. Yes. Thank you. Walay nagno. Ang nagno siguro ani naghilom-hilom na siguro or naniotto na siguro ang uban nga no. No? Our time is 11:51. So, padayon ta. So, the school head must also comply with the relevant regulations, usual accounting rules and regulation. He need to ensure that transaction is correct, accurate, and the school head must also keep copies of the financial records. So, kina na lang, mga presentations, no? Fiscal management issues. So, please take note of the following issues in your schools and how to address them. So, if the issue is happening, is evident in your school, type yes. If not, type no. These are common cardinal sins. SIP is prepared for EAP, EPP? Yes or no? Is this common? Is this evident in your school? SIP is for compliance only. Wala mo basa-basa. No? Meaning, ginatanaw yun ang SIP, there is EIP and APP. No? Good? Thank you for your responses. So the SIP must be the basis in the implementation of programs, projects, and activities and in procurement. Next, cardinal sin. PPMP and APP are not prepared, thus no proper needs assessment prior to deciding what to purchase. Evident or not evident? No? Meaning, your school has project procurement management plan and annual procurement plan. Very good. So no APP, no procurement. So it must be prepared ahead of time. Next, procurement related sin. Back secretariat and back technical working group are non-existent. Yes or no? Please input your responses. Reality check. No, meaning back secretariat, back and back technical working group are existing in your school. Sure mo? Bakit tinangnaan ninyo kay back ra, walay back secretariat and back technical working group? Do you have back secretariat and back technical working group? Please type in your answer. If you have back secretariat and back TWG, type yes. Kung wala, type no. We have, sir. Good. Yes. With back secretariat and back technical working group. Kaning uban, kumusta man mo? Yes. Good. Good. Okay, I will give you a situation, no? According to RA 9184, 9184, a BAC, Bids and Awards Committee, shall be composed of 5 to 7 members. For example, sa inyong ispilahan, unom ramo ka katulad dayon, no? 6 ramo tanan in your school. Unsay diskarte ninyo sa inyong Bids and Awards Committee? Type in your answers. If there are only 6 teachers in your school, how did you manage the creation of your BAC? Very good. Borrowed in other schools. So sige, hulaman, sir. Borrowed in other schools. Borrowed bids and awards. Borrowed teachers in other schools to complete your bids and awards committee. Very good. That's a correct practice. No, you need to outsource teachers of other schools or outsource the bids and awards committee of other schools, no, for your procurement. Kung gamay ra mo, kay ang usana mag-disbursing, ang usana mag-supply officer, ang usana mag-inspectorate team. So dili na dahil makumpleto ang 5. So you can outsource back from other school or borrow teachers from other schools as members of your BAC. No, invite stakeholders as observant. Very good, ma'am. No, for transparency, according to 9184, we need to invite observers from COA and from other organizations, NGOs. Next scene, school head overrides internal controls. Is this evident in your school? Overrides internal controls, meaning the school head does not follow the rules and regulation set for procurement. Please type in your answer. Is this evident in your school? No. How about in other schools? Meaning, the school head always follow the internal controls or rules and regulations. Ang uban ani nga yes, naghilom-hilom ra, no, katong back na daog-daogon ra sa daog-daogon ra sa principal. So our time is 11:57, murag hapit na ta mahuman. So school head did the canvas of prizes, perform the roles of the back chair and the inspection team. Is this evident in your school? No. So the back canvasser perform panahon kung ma-principal na kapuhon no, or ma-head of the school. No? So dili dapat ang school head mo mag-canvas, no? Dapat ang canvasser. Kay wala na may internal control. School head swaps or converts items in a purchase order. Evident or not evident in your school? For example, your school head procured 50 reams of bond paper. So upon delivery, i-inspect na ni siya sa inyong inspectorate team. But later on, ikuha sa supplier kay ialisdan og laptop. Is this a good practice? No swapping or conversion of items. No, napo ko'y nahibalaan, no, nakitaan ako sa mga tindahan ng ilang purchase order, bond paper. Pero pag uli nila, ang dala nila bunglay, kabo, pala, no? I-convert ang items in the purchase order to another item which is illegal. No, please take note of that, ha, inspectorate team. Bako na mo reklamo sa inyo, ha, magka-problema mo. Receipts supporting liquidation are doubtful and tampered. There is tampering. Ang 8 pesos, gihimong 800 pesos in the receipt. Inspection and acceptance of items are routinary and payments to the suppliers are done prior to the delivery. Again, there must be delivery first prior to the payment. That's the correct practice. School operating budget is not prepared. This is also requirement prior to the issuance of your National Expenditure Program. No, ang SOB ninyo kay submit man sa tuwang budget officer, no, sa DBM kung yun sa paggamit. So all schools must have SOB. Reality check. Do you have school operating budget in your school? Please type in yes if evident. No if not evident. Yes. Good. School operating budget is very important because it will provide you with details what to procure for the month. Donations to schools, especially in kind, are not valued and recorded in the books of accounts and not included in the school inventory. So, posible po na yung nahitabo, no? Especially donations from PTA. So, all donations must be properly recorded. Recording of time in and out of school premises from the DTR. So, issue po ni siya, no? Posible po na yung mahitabo, no? Na amoy biometric attendance system, pero lahi inyong DTR. So, wala yung print out ang inyong biometric attendance system. Na kay absent sa inyong biometric attendance system, pero sa DTR, for payroll purposes, wala yung absent. That's an issue. School heads automatically approve DTRs of teachers whether correct or not correct. Walay tanaw-tanaw si school head. So this will be my last slide. I would just like to know your top 3 takeaways of my presentations this morning. Please type in our chat box your learnings or 3 takeaways of the presentations. Sige, Kabit, check na ko kung naraba mo'y nahibalan this morning. Labi na itong uban nga ng laba, samtang naminaw. Ang uban po nag-Netflix, ang uban nag-Facebook. So what are your takeaways of my presentations? We have 106 participants. So I will be expecting answers from the participants. Ay panggutom na yun eh, wala na yung responses. School-based management, fiscal management, what else? So are you ready now to become school heads? No, ready, handang-handa. Qualifying exam na lang ang kulang. RA 9155 Governance of Basic Education Act, RA 9184, APP, School Improvement Plan, SBM, SIP cycle. SIP. Thank you, Miss Jenny. SIP, Fiscal Management, SIP cycle, SBM, Fiscal Management. Thank you for your responses. We will declare a 1-hour break and please be back at 1 p.m. for the next session, which is on RA 9184 and procedures, no? Procedures that we need to follow in procurement. So after that topic, DepEd official correspondence will follow. No? Duha pa topics na to onyang hapon, no? So thank you. We will declare a 1-hour break.
Good afternoon. So we hope to give you all the insights pertinent to this Republic Act 6713 along with Republic Act 9485 and RA 11032. Before I may proceed further, if there are disruptions as to the audio, please let me know. You may just text me in the chat box if I am not audible or if forever, whatever.
Yes, of course. Sa amin, Toros Kimchi.